Welcome to Chasing Excellence, the informative, educational, and entertaining podcast series featuring positive and inspiring stories of entrepreneurs. Now, here's your host, Kathy Hogan.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to delve into optimal health, and in particular, holistic chiropractic health. A lot of you don't know what that is, or you think you do, but you might be wrong. So today, my guest is an expert in the field, Dr. Chad Hyatt with Hyatt Holistic Health. Welcome, Dr. Chad.
Good afternoon. Well, anytime I looked at chiropractic, I always thought they were quacks.
Same here.
And so my first impression of chiropractic is I would not be a quack. And now, having been through chiropractic medicine, practicing for 28 years, it's, in my opinion, the only way to have somebody regain their health. Okay. Because we don't use medicine per se. We use holistic herbs, supplementation, chiropractic, everything to help the patient regain their health.
Okay. Most people, I would think, were like me. I had no idea what holistic meant. Had to look it up years ago. And then I met you and I got educated. So educate the listeners today on the actual
holistic, coming from the word whole. So we look at the body as a whole. Chiropractic as a general function looks at just the spine and the nervous system. Mm-hmm. We look at it from not only the nervous system, but also the every other system in the body from a whole standpoint, including not just physical, but also the emotional. Okay. And so we look at it from a three-part series of body, mind, and spirit.
Okay, we'll get into that in just a second. Your background, you're from New Mexico?
From New Mexico, born and raised in New Mexico, finished in Texas, and then moved to Atlanta, Georgia, or right outside of Atlanta in Gwinnett County.
What year was that?
1996
because
is when we moved here.
I was one of your first patients.
You were in the top 10 of my first patients.
Okay. Yes, and I have to admit, and we've had this conversation before, I had no idea what you did. I passed your office on the way to my house every day, and then I was scheduled to do chaperone with my daughter's orchestra through high school and New Orleans, I think it was that year. And about a week before that, my back went out, and I could not get a doctor to see me for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and there was no way. Plus, I'm her mom, and I wasn't going to let her down even if I was hobbling. So I remembered as I was driving home that one day, I looked over and I said, I don't know what they do, but I'm desperate, and I'm going to call them. And you got me in right away. I was scared to death. I thought, is this voodoo? What? But I learned very quickly that he set me straight, and it actually worked. So I've been a proponent of Chad and the holistic chiropractic health for like 26 years.
27 years, yeah.
Yikes.
So,
Chad, we're getting old.
So. Exactly.
So you grew up in New Mexico. What did you do before you got into this field?
So after nearly flunking out of college, I worked ski patrol during the wintertime, and I rodeoed during the summertime.
Rodeo. Tell us a little bit about that.
I realized real quick that riding broncs, I was not good enough to make a living at it, but it was a good adrenaline rush.
I bet.
So that's one of the reasons I got into chiropractic, is because of so many injuries and stuff to my body.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a good reason, right?
Yes.
Had you researched it after that point, or how did you transition?
No, I was actually working on a ranch, and we were breeding a man's horses, race horses, and I had just blown out my knee through ski patrol. And he sent me a bunch of information about chiropractic, and I said, there's no way in this world will I ever be a quack. Mm-hmm. And I called him to say thanks, but no thanks. But he said, God says, lay your hands on the sick, and they'll be healed.
Okay.
And here I am.
There's your calling. Okay. Well, we're going to demystify your services. And I think a lot of people like me, and even yourself, you just mentioned, we're very skeptical because things we don't know. But once I met you and went through some of your processes, however, I learned more than I thought I was ever going to learn about it. And I saw the benefits, which was even more important. And you hammer me on things. And I don't mean with physical hammer, although he has done that. But I know personally the benefits of what you do. So what we're going to do now, Chad, is we're going to jump into some questions, and you're going to elaborate and make this very simple for people to understand so they're not afraid and they don't think it's quacky or voodoo-ish or whatever other term.
Sure.
That's what we thought. So let's get beyond that and make it real simple for them. All right. The first question I have for you is, what is holistic chiropractic care? I can't even say it. And how does it differ from traditional chiropractic treatment?
Well, traditional chiropractic treatment predominantly focuses in on the spine. Mm-hmm. The nervous system, even though there's not any one system more important than the other in the body, they all have to work together. Chiropractic just focuses on the neurological component. But there's a lot of times when we need to address some digestive or nutritional or liver or endocrine system, those type things. And so we look at the body as a whole, as it all works together in order to attain the health that the person's looking for.
Okay. What ways do you do that?
So we analyze the spine and do the chiropractic adjustments, but we also analyze the diet. We analyze nutrition or deficiencies that may be coming in, so that the body, if you don't have the nutrition in your body, the body can't work the way God intended it to. And so therefore we address those deficiencies. We address making sure you have everything you need. And then a lot of people don't realize how much stress and emotional components fly into their overall health. Therefore, I never see a physical problem that's not rooted from an emotional trauma.
Really?
And so we have to look at it from all three components, body, mind, and spirit.
Okay, so it's pretty comprehensive then, right?
Again, hence the word holistic, meaning whole,
okay,
in how the body works.
Well, that sounds good to me. So, all right, how can holistic chiropractic care improve overall health and wellness? So you sort of touched on that a little bit.
Yeah, so
go into more detail.
We have a lot of patients come to us for just pain and improved mobility. But we also look at more nervous and nervous system function, stress reduction, your immune system, and how your body responds to different stressors throughout the day and throughout the week, and as well as long-term health and prevention. And so we look at different things like posture, diet, lifestyle habits, disease prevention, rather than just focusing on symptom relief. If you don't service your car is going to leave you stranded on the side of the road. Mm-hmm. Your body is so much more important, and you have to do active servicing of your health in order for your body to take care of yourself for the rest of your life.
Okay. Well, that makes sense too. You mentioned the symptom. I think most medicine focuses on symptoms and not the problem beneath. Is that's
right. I mean, traditional chiropractic focuses just on the nervous system. But what we do in a holistic care, we reduce nerve interference, helping the body communicate more efficiently, improving the issues of things from like headaches to indigestion to stress, mental clarity, and helping the body adapt to everyday life stresses.
Okay. So what should a patient expect during a holistic chiropractic care session? What's the first thing you do? What do you lead them into? I'm sure it depends on what their issue is, and everybody's going to be different, right?
We do an initial assessment. What we take their symptom. What is their complaint? And so we're going to look at it from that standpoint. But we also look at how is diet affecting this? How are exercises or stress levels, sleep patterns, emotional well-being? We look at it from a whole body standpoint so that we can look at it. We will address the chiropractic or the nervous system components. And then we're going to address lifestyle and nutritional guidances. It may be specific diets. It may be specific nutritional supplements or herbal remedies that can help the patient respond to that better. We're going to look at complementary therapies. Sometimes I'll refer out for acupuncture or massage therapy or yoga or workouts or something like that. And then we also look at follow-ups and preventative care. So it's more of a lifestyle rather than just trying to get rid of a symptom, which is what medicine does in a microwave society. They want a pill to fix the problem right now.
Right.
This is a lifestyle. It's not a quick fix.
Yeah. Well, that makes more sense when you think about it. I've heard lately a lot of talk about the majority of issues with people come from gut health.
There's gut and liver are probably the two most main organs I deal with.
Yeah.
What doesn't matter if I'm dealing with a patient with infertility or cardiovascular or even cancer. Mm-hmm. The gut, you are what you absorb, not what you eat. Mm-hmm. And if your body can't work the way God intended it to, you're not going to absorb the nutrients you need, and therefore your body cannot function the way God intended it to function. And so we look at a lot of gut health. And what people don't realize is it starts in the mouth as soon as you put your food in your mouth, but then the stomach, mm-hmm. then the small intestines, and there's 3 different parts of the small intestine, and then into the colon. And so you're still absorbing those nutrients throughout the entire gut process, which is about 33 feet long when you think about it.
Gee.
So you have to be able to function correctly. And so gut health is a big role in your overall health.
Okay, give us an example of something that might be going on in your gut that's causing an issue. That's something you may have dealt with recently.
Food allergies.
Food allergies. A lot of people don't know they have food allergies.
They don't even know they have it. You know, they eat something, their stomach bloats, they start belching, they start burping a lot. They're not breaking down their proteins correctly. They're not breaking down those foods. And so some people will get fatigued, mm-hmm. very just sleepy. Some people will, the body wants it out immediately. So it's going to go through them very, very fast, mm-hmm. and they're looking for a bathroom really quick. But the gut is just huge in what you absorb. The liver plays a huge role into that as well. And, the gallbladder being one of the most removed organs in the body is responsible for digesting fat. Well, if you can't digest your fat, you're not going to feel good when you eat a fatty meal. Mm-hmm. When you eat a big steak, you're just going to feel lethargic, where other people eat that and they're ready to go. Mm-hmm. So you have to look at different symptomatology and how the person is reacting to what they're eating.
Mm-hmm. Let's go back to what you just said about the liver. I'm also hearing a lot of negative things about liver issues with people. What's something that would affect that?
Everything.
Yeah.
I call the liver the toxic waste dump of the body. Uh-huh. It is responsible for detoxing the body completely. It clears your blood. All the blood comes back through the liver, so you detox there. It helps with detoxing your fats. And what most women don't understand is all your how your hormones work and how they're metabolized takes place in the liver. Mm-hmm. So we deal with a lot of women with different hormonal problems, and they're thinking it's with their uterus or their ovaries, but it's actually in their liver. And so we address both the liver and the gut in helping them in healing their hormonal issues.
How would you do that? For instance, you've determined it's a hormonal thing.
Yeah. So if I have a hormonal, I'm going to have to test. Mm-hmm. I'm going to have to find out what's going on. And so I'm going to test her hormones. So we're going to test the macro hormones in a woman would be your estrone, your estradiol, and your triol. So most people think estrogen is a hormone. It's just an umbrella that encompasses all those. But then you have the metabolites, and those take place in the liver. And there's 16-hydroxy, 4-hydroxy, 2-hydroxy, 2-methy. Not to get too complicated, but the hormones take place, and so they go through different pathways, and that's how the drugs work as well. Mm-hmm. They go through these different pathways in the liver, and you have to get those pathways working correct in order for your body to work correctly.
Mm-hmm. Is it an herbal thing, or what would address that? Just like I said, imagine you've got somebody that's already told you, and you've been tested, what have you, yep. And what would be the first course? So
the testing, I'm going to test some through blood, mm-hmm. some through urine, and some through saliva. Okay. I'm not a big proponent of hair analysis because if your body's not emitting it, it will not show up in the hair. Okay. And there are some functional medicine doctors that do use hair analysis. But I'm going to look at all those 3 components, and then it helps to give me a pathway of what I need to do. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of times we're just helping the liver detox. We're helping those pathways get better. We're helping with the digestion, helping your body getting the acidic level in the stomach correctly, mm-hmm. as well as the small intestines and large intestines. A lot of people think they get heartburn because they have too much acid. Mm-hmm. They get heartburn because they don't have enough acid.
Really?
And so the body is not breaking down those proteins, and so therefore they're not getting the nutrients that they need.
Okay. I wasn't aware of that.
So
yeah. Well, I think we all have that idea. Too much acid, reflux, and all of that.
Well, you think it's a big business. Just look at the grocery store the next time you go and see how many antacids. I mean, they have a complete aisle dedicated to just antacids. And it just compounds and makes the problem worse in the long run.
I bet you hate to see that, don't you?
I
do.
do.
You do like this and avoid that aisle?
Yeah, people
Leave
don't
your
want
cards on the shelf.
They don't want to get me started on drugs.
Yeah,
so.
well, there's a time and a place for certain drugs.
There
but this
are.
is in addition to, and that's what I like about it. So kind of explain a little, and we didn't talk about this ahead of time, traditional medicine versus what you would do. So
I do not do drugs at all.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are a lot of patients that I have to co-treat with a medical doctor or oncologist or a cardiologist or something of that nature because the symptoms are so severe, we have to take drastic measures. But it's not my first line of defense. Okay. And so I am coming at it from more of a natural, holistic standpoint rather than a pharmaceutical standpoint. And so we're going to look at the long term, and sometimes we have to use drugs and sometimes they're necessary in order to help that patient get where they need to be. But we help that patient get off them as soon as possible so that they're not on there for a lifetime. I mean, for example, just ask your cardiologist, when are you going to get off this cholesterol medication? They're going to tell you, never. You're on it the rest of your life. I can't tell you how many patients that have come off of it through using our techniques to help them return their lifestyle back to a healthy lifestyle.
Okay. And without medication.
Without medication.
Yeah, that seems to be a common medication that's handed out like candy lately.
That and antibiotics.
Antibiotics, yes.
And it's...
Can't you build up an immunity to antibiotics?
Yes, by all means.
Okay.
And so what people don't realize is a biotic, we have more biotics in our gut than we have cells in our body.
Really?
And we have trillions of cells in our bodies. You cannot micromanage it. So you have to help the terrain work the way God intended it to so that your body functions the way it's supposed to.
Okay. What about probiotics?
So probiotics help with prebiotics,
okay,
or prebiotics and probiotics. They are all necessary. But again, everybody thinks that acidophilus is the only one you have. Well, when we test for several different ones.
Okay.
And we're dealing with trillions of these cells. And so we use different foods to help build the right terrain so that they proliferate the way they're supposed to.
Okay.
Everybody thinks E. coli is so bad. Well, you actually have E. coli in your body. It's just when it gets in the wrong parts of the body, that's when it creates a drastic health crisis. And so you have to have certain bacteria in certain parts of your body for it to work correctly.
That brings up something I was going to ask you sometime back. What about H. pylori?
So H. pylori is that's in the stomach, and that's going to help exacerbate. It's going to eat away the cells of and exacerbate into an ulcer or something of that effect, and it just creates drastic digestive systems. And the body doesn't know how to react. And so those are very complicated cases, and it's not something that's going to be fixed just overnight. Anytime I look at a gut, literally, it can take up to 18 months to heal it from mouth to the back end so that the body's working the way it's supposed to. So it's drastic. Okay.
What would be used for that? And I'm only asking because I know someone that has that.
Yeah, so, when hydrochloric acid is secreted by the parietal cells in the stomach, it's secreted at a pH of 0.8. Well, if you were to stick your finger in a pH of 0.8, which is hydrochloric acid, you'd pull your finger up and it'd just be bone. Oh. That's how acidic your stomach. It needs to be between 2 and 3.
Okay.
So you can't go in with a lot of acid because it's going to burn that tissue and create a lot of severe symptoms for that patient. So a lot of times we'll come in with betaine HCl. Sometimes I'll use apple cider vinegar. Sometimes I'll use lemon juice. Really? And other things. There's chamomile. There's sometimes I'll use Oregon grape. Sometimes I'll use oregano oil. Sometimes I'll use turmeric. The list just goes on and on of different things, and each case is individual, and we have to find out what's going to work best for that patient. And so that's through a lot of the process that I do in the office.
All right. Since you brought some of that up, excuse me, I know you work with a lot of supplements, herbal, whatever else. Kind of touch base on that a little bit.
Yeah, so herbs are just whole foods. And so when you use whole foods, the body uses what it needs and then gets rid of the rest. So you don't have the drastic or the unwanted side effects that you get with medication, because the body's able to get rid of it. So we use a lot of herbals. The list just goes on and on. But you heard me say chamomile, or marshmallow root, or
I've never heard of that one.
Oregon grape, or golden seal. I mean,
Golden seal. I've
and
heard
these
of that.
there's a whole science in itself in how you use these. And I use liquids predominantly,
Okay.
because they're absorbed better and you don't have to use as much.
Okay.
Unfortunately, they don't taste as good as a capsule, but we get so much better results by doing these.
I could see where that would benefit me, because I have a hard time swallowing, and big horse pills, as they say. I get choked. Forget about it. That would be a good opportunity for me to check out.
And it's easier to get in. And believe it or not, I see a lot of young kids with different issues as well. And so we have to get it in them as easy as possible.
Well, let's expand on that. I know that you work on children. I've seen you work on pregnant women. So kind of tell us a little bit what you would do for a kid, and then we'll transition into the pregnant ladies.
So I can't tell you how many kids, dealing a lot with infertility women. Once they do get pregnant and have a baby, I usually see their baby within the first week of being born, because people don't realize the trauma that the child goes through, much less the mom. And so, their upper cervical can get cranked. And so we relieve a lot of that, especially if they're not nursing, if they're not latching on a quick adjustment. I deal a lot with constipation in children. The children, as soon as they're born, I treat them. I've treated my kids as soon as, they were born. They were adjusted within 5 minutes of being born.
Oh, my.
And then I have also been with people as they're transitioning out of this life into the next, on their deathbed, just to help comfort them and take some of the pain away, and going through that transition. So I call it cradle to grave care.
Would that be like someone that's in hospice?
I've been with patients that I've walked through that for reasons unknown. Just, I'm not God, but they were dying, and so we were able to help comfort them as they went through the dying process.
And how would you do that?
I was with them as
a counselor,
home. At home and adjusting. I've made house calls at 3:00 in the morning because the pain was just so intense.
Oh, wow!
So
that's interesting. Do you see a lot of kids with sports injuries? Do you treat many of those?
I treat a lot of sports injuries. I treat a lot of collegiate athletes. Two of my kids both have played collegiate sports, and so I have several collegiate athletes that I treat through both high school and then college, and then some of them have actually made it in the pros, and I still treat them in that scenario as well. So. Yeah.
I think you might have a future son-in-law that's going that direction.
I do, yeah. He's
is it already been out there, or did I just?
No, he's engaged to my daughter, and he's a defensive end.
Okay.
And
big hopes for him, huh?
Big hopes. He's at a blue blood school, 5-star school, so it's pretty promising. But it's a hard road. It's just a hard road. A lot of wear and tear.
And plus the competition and everything.
Yeah. And so I've traded him a couple times for concussions and just different injuries and that type of stuff. So
okay, well that's interesting.
And then one of my claims to fame is my daughter. She was a catcher in softball, played at Clemson actually, and she only missed about a week due to one injury. Her entire career, she played through broken hands and broken bones and what have you. But she was one that was never out because of being sick and never out because of an injury.
Mm-hmm. Now has she graduated?
She has graduated. She's actually coaching.
Where's she coaching? At Clemson?
No, she's coaching at University of North Carolina, Greensboro.
Okay. No offense, Anna Jo. Go South Carolina, Gamecocks, and Georgia.
Yeah, Gamecocks were not a big fan of ours.
No, I can imagine. Hey, I had a house divided. We were always Georgia fans, and then my son decided he's going to South Carolina.
Yes.
And so it was like I would have to be with him to watch his games, and I was not allowed to watch the Georgia games. But It's all good now. We watch them all. We're back to normal. So, well, Chad, this has been some great information. I know for a fact, going back to the supplements and everything. One time you gave me a digestive enzyme.
Yes.
And I don't remember. I'm sure it was stomach because I have stomach issues all the time. But that seemed to be very helpful to me. What are in those?
So there's anything that ends in an ACE, a protease, lipase, ASE, it's going to be an enzyme. Those enzymes help the body break down the food so that it can be absorbed easily. And a lot of times if we're not eating the right foods, then we don't get the enzymes or the nutrition that we need. And so sometimes we have to aid in helping the body get to that point. And that's what we did from that standpoint.
Okay. I probably need to come see you again. Well, I know I do. Anyway, let's flip-flop back to the physical side of it and some of the procedures you do. I know some of the things you've done for me that have been very helpful, but just give us an example of some of the things that somebody comes in and they're back.
Yeah, so, I mean, we're going to do what they need. In some patients, I may use equipment to help me adjust them. I maybe use an activator or an stem. I may use a percussor. I may use a drop table, or I may use my hands. And so we're going to do what they're going to need for their own comfort level, but to still get the job done. That's from a chiropractic standpoint. We'll analyze them from a nutritional standpoint. We're going to make dietary changes. We'll give them a food list of what they can and should not be eating. Yeah. It's hard to control that sometimes. And then we're going to help them from a stress standpoint as well. And so, women, I always say, if you're going to kill a woman, just stress her out.
I agree with that one.
And because what it does is it kills your hormones. Because your survival hormones, your stress hormones, will steal your sex hormones.
Oh, goodness.
Because you don't need your sex hormones to survive. You just need them to procreate. And so, for example, progesterone will be converted back into cortisol. It'll go through what's called
I was going to ask about that.
A pregnenolone steal. Yeah. And so when the progesterone goes down, which is a protective hormone for a woman, then it throws off their cycles. Good. And so it can go in anything to PMS or fibroids, endometriosis, PCOS, infertility. It just goes south in a hurry. But to show you an unequal opportunity offender, if you want to kill a man, you feed him sugar.
Oh, that's not good for anybody.
It's not, and it promotes more estrogen,
really?
Especially in a man.
Okay,
and that's where we start getting the man boobs, for lack of a better word. Forgive me. We get the beer gut or the weight around the middle.
Right.
But what it does is, and what people don't realize is, it kills our testosterone.
Really, the sugar.
Okay. It kills our testosterone and our drive, and so then we become lazy and unmotivated. And so, I know a lot of the world talks about masculine testosterone or masculinity or toxic masculinity. Toxic masculinity. Exactly. Men are supposed to have that. And so we have to have that drive. If we don't, then you're going to see, and unfortunately it comes into some other sociological values that we won't go into here.
Right.
So.
Well, I know I've experienced a couple of different things with you over the years. Is it the TENS unit?
Yeah, so we use different therapies that would come into it. The percussor's going to do that. We'll use ultrasound. We'll use interferential, which is what you're regarding to as a TENS. It's just a more high power interferential that it fatigues the muscles so that it helps the body relax.
Explain what that is exactly. I know what it is.
So it drives an electrical current into the body, and it helps the muscle fatigue out so that it can actually repair and heal. And so we're doing it from that standpoint. A lot of physical therapists use that, and there's even new technology out there that's able to. You can use cold laser, you can use sound waves, you can use many different forms of technology that's being advanced as we learn more about it. But everything helps the body. We are electrical beings.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And
energy, electricity.
Yes.
There's another gadget. I say gadget because I don't know all of them, and I don't need to know all of them. I just go in and I say, fix me, and you fix me. What's that one that I hate so bad, but it helps so much? It's the hammer on the back of my neck.
So one is a handheld, which is an activator.
Okay.
And it is very precise. But then we also use an AccuStim. And the thing I love about the AccuStim is it creates an electromagnetic frequency.
Really?
And every nerve transmission has EMFs. Okay. And so it's kind of like the Etch-a-Sketch when we were kids. We could draw and then just erase it, and it goes. What this does is it helps erase the muscle memory pattern if it's a bad muscle memory pattern. So it sets the groundwork for the body to heal the way God intended it to. And that's where we come in and use a lot of the technology to help people. And so I use that predominantly for my disc. Some people will use a traction table or flexion distraction table or something of that nature. I get great results just by using this on patients with disc problems that creates things like sciatica or severe pain going down into the abdomen or into the legs or into the arms and hands.
Have we ever used that? All I know is that hard hitting.
Yes, that's the hard. Thing. It's the hard hitting hammer.
Okay. I thought that was a different thing.
Now, the thing of it is you can't go too hard because if you go too hard, it nullifies it out. The way there's protection in it, so we can only go as hard as the body will allow, and to get the outcome that we're looking for. Okay.
That's pretty interesting. And now you're making me ache because I know I need to be in there visiting you because I'm behind schedule and you always call me out.
And think of balancing a bowling ball on a pencil. That's what your neck and your head are.
Did you watch the Jerry Maguire movie, by the way? A head weighs 15 pounds like a bowling ball.
So that's what it is. And if you're flipping over or even just a flexion or a lateral extension or those injuries can cause severe neck trauma, and that's going to radiate down into the shoulders and the arms, hands, and then in the low back down into the feet and legs.
And this is another question related to that, and then we'll move on. He's also starting to suffer from some emotional, and that's got to affect his body too, like you mentioned earlier, right?
The post-traumatic stress disorder is very, very real. It's not uncommon for somebody when they go through an intersection, if they were T-boned or what have you, they tighten up, and it's people don't even realize it, and especially with women. Women are what I call breath holders. When they get in a stressful situation, they hold their breath. Well, what's the most important nutrient we put in the body every day? Oxygen. So you have to have oxygen. And so you have to, I'm a big proponent of breath exercises and doing it daily because you got to have the oxygen for your body to function the way God intended it to.
I'm bad about that. I've noticed I hold my breath a lot. And then I'll call myself, like, what are you doing this for?
And you'll catch yourself and you go, then you go back to holding your breath. And
and then at night also, if I'm stressed, I'm laying there. That's at 2 a.m. is when my brain starts functioning like a wild child. And then I say, I do this little mantra, and then I hold my breath. I breathe in very deeply, hold it, and then just as hard as I can.
And what you don't realize is that causes a lot of hiatal hernias.
Yeah.
Which is going to exacerbate gastric reflux.
Everything you do.
And it causes a lot of digestive issues.
Really?
And so we have to go in and release a lot of the soft tissue in the solar plexus and in the abdomen.
Okay. I should just move into your office because I'm a hot mess. Anyway. Okay. Well, Chad, it's been very informative. I've known you for 26 years, like we said, but I learned a lot just sitting here hearing from you, and I'm sure the listeners have too. So before we wrap it up, I want you to give your contact information. We will have it on the site, but somebody's listening today and said, wow, something sparked in their brain and they think, well, I need to check this out, or just have questions. Give them your contact information, your location, your website, all of that. Okay.
It's Hyatt Holistic Health, and we do 3 main functions in our office. So we do the chiropractic, the holistic chiropractic. We do the functional medicine component. And then my wife and I both developed a weight loss program that we do as well. We're using whole foods, no gimmicks, no surgeries, no pills. It's using real food that you buy at the grocery store. And we have patients lose well over 100 pounds, whether it's 10 to 20 or 100 to 150.
Yeah, I forgot to even ask you about that.
It works from that standpoint. So our contact information, we are located in Suwanee, Georgia at 3725, about halfway between Satellite and Beaufort Highway, right there on Lawrenceville, Suwanee Road. Website is Hyatt Holistic Health. And then our telephone number is 770-237-3300.
Okay, great. And they can just reach out to you.
They can reach out. They can email me at just drchadhyatt@gmail.com.
Okay. So somebody calls you and wants to set up an appointment. Can they get in pretty quickly?
We try to get patients within a week.
Okay.
We are there 4 days guaranteed. Fifth day is just by appointment only.
Okay.
But we're able to get patients in relatively quickly.
Okay, great. Well, this is great information, and I'm so glad you came to be with me today.
I appreciate you having me. It's been a pleasure to be here.
Did you have fun?
I had a great time.
Okay. Well, I hope everybody learned something like I did, and if you need Chad's services or just a question answered, give him a call or reach out to him. He's an awesome guy. I can vouch for that. I haven't beaten him up yet, so there's still time. No. Anyway, all right. Thanks so much for listening today. I'm your host, Kathy Hogan, and this is Chasing Excellence. Stay fearless, friends.